Harry Tempest Williams wrote, "The human heart is the first home of democracy. It's where we embrace our questions. Can we be equitable? Can we be generous? Can we listen with our whole beings, not just with our minds, and offer our attention rather than our opinions? And do we have enough resolve in our hearts to act courageously, relentlessly, without giving up ever, trusting our fellow citizens to join with us in our determined pursuit of a living democracy?" I think this quote applies not only to the work of democracy, the work of being citizens in this country and in the world, but also to the work of being members of a congregation. I'm so glad to be with you online this morning in the room in Fellowship Hall at the Fellowship. There are some conversations going on, some shared conversations. And rather than have you watch the folks kind of babble around, I wanted to meet privately with you and then tell you about what we're doing and make an opportunity for us to speak in a shared conversation at a future date. This year is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. 250 years ago, our country's founding men and women had hundreds of conversations with one another to share their grievances about the king's rule. They didn't just complain, they got clear about their concerns, and they worked together to make a different future for themselves and for generations to come. This is not about overthrowing the government, but about having a government that works for us. So let's read their words to help frame this conversation today. Here's the second line of the second sentence of the Declaration of Independence. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all humans are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among humans, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness." This was not just the right of the people 250 years ago. It's our right and our responsibility to organize power, to create communities where everyone can realize life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness today. For people of faith, this is not only our civic duty, but also our calling as a congregation. Our faith compels us to listen to one another's shared struggles and pains, and then to act together within and beyond our congregation so that everyone can experience a full and abundant life. Conversations like the ones that are happening at the UUF Ames today, conversations like this are happening with over 2,000 people in schools and churches and neighborhoods throughout Iowa as a part of Amos's We the People campaign. We'll share our lived experiences with barriers to safety and happiness today. We're looking for people who want to join with others to then do something about these concerns and work toward communities where everyone can flourish. From today's conversations and ones that we will have later with online folks, we're working towards an Amos convention in August to bring the stories and concerns that arise to our gubernatorial candidates and other decision makers and to ask for their commitment to work with us to address them. So we want to hear from you, the people, about what's getting in the way of safety and happiness for you and for people you care about. Safety can mean physical safety, but also safe water or healthcare access, perhaps a justice system that is just for all. And when they said happiness, it's not just about getting lots of likes on social media, but creating communities where all can flourish. Each of us has a different idea of what safety and happiness means. So we have to talk and listen to one another to find a path forward and build our capacity to make it a reality. We want to hear your stories and lived experiences, not just what you've read about or seen on social media. This is not a time to share what we think about our government or to solve another person's problems. It's really time for us to share and listen to one another about what's really going on that gets in the way of safety and happiness. Our stories come to life through these questions. I want to tell you that our online conversation, you'll be invited to join, will be on Tuesday, March the 31st at 6 p.m. And you'll see that in upcoming newsletter articles in my column in the newsletter. That online conversation will be Tuesday, March the 31st at 6 p.m. And we'll share a Zoom link for that. This is called broad-based organizing. Consider this difference. In issue-based organizing, a group is working toward a specific goal. Once that goal is achieved, the group disperses and perhaps morphs into advocacy for another issue. In broad based organizing, the community is the thing, and the leaders come from the community. We build connections by listening to each other, learning who has energy to lead, and working together as a group, no matter what the issue is. The issues bubble up from the people rather than being a top down pronouncement of what we will address. We are listening to find issues that move a community. I've been wondering, for those of us with relative privilege and safety, I've been wondering, what does it mean if our lives don't depend on solving some of these issues? Immigration, housing accessibility, food insecurity, hunger, um, trans rights, any number of things that maybe my life doesn't depend on it. And it makes me wonder, how do we decenter ourselves and listen to the folks whose lives do depend on such change? I think that's the internal work that we do with this active and compassionate listening. Consider this quote from the late, great Congressman John Lewis. He said, in Selma, Alabama, on Bloody Sunday in 1965, we were beaten at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. A few days later, we marched all the way to Montgomery. A few months after that, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act. When we set out to cross that bridge, we wanted to do more. We wanted to bridge the divide of racial discrimination. We Americans have been trying to bridge the great divides in this country for a long time. Today, we must keep on walking, keep on talking, just as we did in the civil rights movement, until we cross all those bridges together. Close quote. For African Americans in the Jim Crow South, their lives did depend on ending racial apartheid. And as we know, there were lots of white folks who showed up to march and work and advocate and engage voters, do voter registration as well. Black and white Unitarian Universalists were part of the fight for civil rights, a broad-based effort that was not just about voting rights, but about dignity and equal access and shared humanity. I was part of a training in broad-based organizing in July of 2025 in Denver, and the featured speaker was Dr. Danielle Allen. Dr. Allen is the James Bryant Conant University professor at Harvard University and director of the Allen Lab for Democracy Renovation and the Democracy Knowledge Project at Harvard. The focus of the conversation was her book, Justice by Means of Democracy. And she considers the foundations of justice and democracy at a time of social and political turmoil. Reflecting on the political, economic, and philosophical history of the past 2 centuries up to the present day, Dr. Allen lays out core elements for a thriving society and healthy democracy that are central to our practice of organizing. These include membership in political and social networks, strengthening social bonds and bridging relationships across differences, challenging systems and policies that benefit a small elite at the expense of the larger public, and organizing opportunities for everyday people to participate in the decisions that impact their lives. I keep going back to this quote that she said. She defined justice as that condition in which people activate their human potential and are free from domination. Freedom grows when people live free. Let me say this again because it took me a little while to get my head around it. Justice is that condition in which people activate their human potential and are free from domination. Freedom grows when people live free. I think part of the work that we're doing with this shared listening, sharing our stories, is helping people to activate their energy for change. Rather than what I so often feel when I read the news, it feels so heavy and there's nothing we can do about it, or very little that we can do about it. This work of broad based organizing, engaging leaders, finding the issues that bubble up, and then clarifying them, clarifying what can be done, and taking them directly to the decision makers who can make a difference for us. That is active democracy. Of course, we vote and we can support candidates, but this kind of work is part of what really helps us shape in the nitty gritty and the ground level the ways that we can be participants in the future of this democracy that is so beloved to us. I'll remind you again that the online conversation will be on Tuesday, March 31st at 6 p.m. So you can mark your calendars. And of course, we'll be sending out more information in the Friday newsletter that I know you read every week. Dr. Allen said, democracy offers no resting place. We are always laying the foundations for other people to step on. It's a wheel of fortune. Which generation gets to see victory? So I guess it's our time to keep building those foundations. Blessed be. Amen. And may it be so. Let's extinguish our chalices with our usual words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And I'll remind you, don't forget your Zoom coffee hour right after this. Simply visit uufames.org and click the link for the Zoom Coffee Fellowship. We move forward step by step with love, with curiosity and hope and fear and frustration and faith. Thanks for showing up this morning. Thanks for staying with me here. It's good to be with you one-to-one, and we'll keep doing all that we can do to help people live free. All blessings, and be well.